What did you think was normal about your body until someone pointed out that it wasn't? I used the phrase when your heart does that fluttery sensation and it's like you can feel it beating for a few seconds. Apparently not everyone does know that. In fact, most don't, and my colleagues looked at me like I'd lost my mind. That I had 8 wisdom teeth grow into the extra space in the back of my jaw, 2 for each side, top and bottom, that all grew in just fine after 20. Only to find out on my last trip to the dentist that I have 8 more growing in sideways. The normal amount of wisdom teeth is 4. Not 16. I have a big head. I've never once found a hat that fit. Not even a toque. That I don't have aerolase or any color to my nipples unless they're hard, and the fact that my skin goes purple randomly. Also my tonsils. They were always swollen and I didn't know they weren't supposed to be swollen until I went to an ENT and had them removed last year. I get itchy as soon as I get overheated. Like an all-over body itch. There's no rash that pops up, I just get very, very itchy. I thought I was bad at running because my throat would seize up and get painful whenever I ran for more than a minute. I mentioned this to my doctor when I was 30. Turns out I have asthma. I once took part in a study as a paid participant. The doctors used ultrasound probes to examine the blood vessels on my face. They commented on how strange my face's blood vessels were. They struggled and puzzled a little while examining my face. Then they handed me more cash and asked whether I would be willing to donate my body after I died to a medical study. They were polite and respectful throughout the whole process, just seemed excited. Edit: they didn't tell me what's wrong, so I DK either. And my face looks perfectly normal, at least from the outside. My jaw pops whenever I open my mouth. I thought it was normal for your jaw to just unhinge because how else could you open your mouth wide? Turns out, nope. I can activate my tensor tympani muscles. They make that roaring in your ears when you yawn at will. For some reason, they also activate when I feel sudden pain, even when there's no sound or noise involved. Dermatographia. I have really sensitive skin with an overactive histamine response. When I'm gently scratched with a blunt object, I get a hive in the shape of the scratch. I can write my name in hives on my forearm. Nobody told me this, I ended up learning this on my own in my early 20s. I have a third nipple. I always thought it was a mole on my rib cage, and I actually used to like it and kinda thought it was cute. As soon as I discovered the truth, I immediately started to dislike it. And it's funny, but it actually does make me feel exposed when I'm wearing a bra or bikini and one of my nipples is showing. LOL. The petite mal seizures I can remember as far back as 6 years old. It wasn't until I was 10 and had a grand mal seizure that I really understood. I should have said something before then, but I was embarrassed. Thought I had great vision until I tried glasses and found that everything was so much sharper and more vivid. Apparently my left eye has a vision defect, but my right eye learned to compensate, so I never realized. I'm very buoyant. I have a hard time sinking to the bottom of a pool at all, no matter how hard I try, and float completely with almost no effort for very long lengths of time. Apples aren't spicy. Period pain that doubles me over. I thought every woman just dealt with this much pain until my doc told me it was in fact not normal. My tongue has a bunch of cracks and craters in it and is not smooth. Sometimes I can feel and hear my spinal fluid moving in my neck and the base of my head. It sounds like a rain stick. Pain in your stomach and esophagus when you're hungry. Apparently that's acid reflux, not hunger. Most of the time when I'm hungry, instead of my stomach rumbling, the back of my neck will feel fizzy and will make a noise like a rain stick. I'm still unsure what exactly is going on. I have a fucked up rib. If I press on it I can feel it move in and out of place. I can quite literally put my hand inside my rib cage to some extent. When I'm bored sometimes I just do that to entertain me, LOL. Edit: wow, I didn't realize how common it actually is, that's crazy. And for those asking, yes, it's a floating rib, but it's misshaped. Being bone deep exhausted all of the time. I can sleep for 10 hours, be awake for an hour and then sleep another 10. Got denied for a sleep study because the doctor didn't think I was depressed, told to take more magnesium. I suffered from an iron deficiency when I was younger that has since been resolved to no change. I did try and go for a sleep apnea test, to which they said that it would be a waste of time to test me for it since I don't show symptoms, no snoring, gasping for breath, etc. Edit: wowie, did not expect this to blow up. Added info: iron deficiency, sleep apnea. Apparently most people don't have much in the way of toe dexterity. I am monkey down there. When I lean on my elbows, my shoulder blades stick pretty far out behind me. Hard to explain, I guess, but multiple people have pointed it out as weird. Also, I can crack my wrists the same way most people can crack their knuckles. It's very satisfying and like 5 times as loud. I was blowing up balloons with someone once and silently judging them for not being able to do it in a single breath. Turns out I'm the freak who just has mental lung capacity for some reason. If I'm sorta tuned out or focusing on something and I hear a sound behind me or to one side, I can literally feel my ears attempt to turn toward the sound like many animals do, such as cats. My ears don't actually move around, but there's some automated reflex that tries to do it. I mentioned it to my wife in an innocent statement that began with, "You know how you can feel your ears try to move to pinpoint a sudden sound?" And she looked at me as if I have 6 eyes. I haven't found anyone else since then who knows what the hell I'm talking about. All the freckling. In places most people don't have freckles. That your brain never stopping is not normal. It's actually a sign of hyperactivity. The first time I took meds and I only thought of one thing at a time. Overwhelming. Cataplexy, I lose the ability to grip, hold things, chew, sometimes even stand when laughing. Basically, my muscles shit the bed whenever I start laughing too hard. Me, my sister, and my dad have it. My sister has even dropped her children because of it. Don't worry, more of a gradual release than a full-blown drop, and no one was hurt. I grew up thinking it was entirely normal, and my mind was blown when I found out it was not. I asked the next 10 people I saw, friends, co-workers, drug dealer, if they got weak while they were laughing, and they looked at me like I was crazy. Aphantasia, or the absence of a mind's eye. When I found out that people can picture stuff in their head, I was amazed. I was also 45. I have bones in the bottom of my mouth, mandibular torii. I was in my 20s before a dentist commented on them being uncommon, finally explained why x-rays of my teeth were always so painful. Found out in hypoglycemic because I went to the doctor after having this conversation with someone. This sucks. You know when your whole body gets kinda hot but your blood feels cold and you get dizzy? They did not know that feeling, and so I went to the doctor, got blood work. Sure enough, I thought everyone had the same hearing I did. Then the pandemic hit and suddenly my hearing got worse. Turns out I needed hearing aids, and the reason my hearing got worse was because I could no longer read people's lips due to the masks. I thought my vision was normal, and then my eye doctor almost had a heart attack when she asked if I had driven to my appointment. I didn't. The amount my eyebrows move when I talk and I'm nervous. Inverted nipples. Never really thought much about them, until I saw boobs in various settings, media, i.e. movies, porn, and in person, and none of their nipples looked like mine. I guess no specific person has ever pointed it out to me. I just don't ever see them anywhere, so I still feel weird about them. Intermittent loss of color in my vision. My ball sack. Then when I started having sex, all the women pointed out how long and saggy my ball sack is. Then I started noticing other guys' balls and I was like, all these guys have such little ball sacks. A lot of guys have balls that aren't even longer than their penis. The beans are shorter than the frank, whereas my beans are like 3x as long as my frank and I don't have a small frank. So I guess I have long saggy balls, like an old man. I've had old man balls since I was a teenager. I'll probably start tripping over them when I hit my 80s. Me getting a physical. Doctor, has your chest always had that concave part like that? Me what? Doctor, never mind. Me. When I was doing my physical to join the Navy, the doctor told me I have high arches. They've never bothered me. Also, now that I know to look, it does look like everyone else has flat feet in comparison. I have bad ankles. I once asked my mom if bad ankles run in our family. She told me that nothing runs in our family. I asked her because of the bad